Hello and welcome to episode 213 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Join me as always is the comely League Freak. You can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
What the fuck did you just call me?
Comely.
Comely.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, beautiful, lovely.
I'm going to use that all the time. That's great.
You can also use comelier and comeliest.
Oh, I'd go comeliest. I'd say my name's League Freak and I'm the comeliest dude you'll ever meet. That's great.
That is fantastic. I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely entering my vocabulary from now on.
Fantastic. Yeah, we've got a bit of rugby league news to talk about, but before we get to that,
Yes, we're going to talk about our wonderful sponsor. And our sponsor is manscaped.com.
Yeah. Mate, if you've got a bit of extra, let's call it man garden going on,
Mm-hmm.
you need to get some genuine man garden tools down there.
Yeah,
And there's none better than getting the Lawnmower 3.0. That's the one.
Lawnmower 3.0. And this is like the cutting edge, and it won't cut you, but it is the cutting edge of manscaping technology. This is like the Cadillac of manscaping for your manscaping area. It will give you the best looking downstairs you've ever seen in your life. Even you'll do it and you'll be like, man, this is fucking great. You know, so you go onto manscaped.com and you get the Lawnmower 3.0 and then it's going to come up. Have you got a promo code? And exclusively for our listeners, this is our promo code that we put together. We chose it for our listeners, NRL. You put in NRL and you will get 20% off plus free shipping for any products you buy at manscaped.com. And yeah, the Lawnmower 3.0 is just going to revolutionize your life. It's going to make you feel like $1 million. And look, this thing isn't just for men. It's for you too, ladies. And it's also a great gift for that man in your life. You know what it's like sometimes. It's like you don't want to have to say it out loud. So just get him one of these things. Get him a Lawnmower 3.0. 20% off. NRL is your code. And he'll get the hint.
Yeah, especially when you say, honey, can you do the mowing again?
Exactly.
Here's one mowing job. He will jump up and go, oh, yeah, I know what this means.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, Grizzly Adams, go and get the Lawnmower 3.0. And he's going to know. Because you won't be able to not do it. And you're going to be so impressed yourself. So go to manscaped.com, put in the promo code NRL, and get 20% off, free shipping, and you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is just fantastic and shows how good the quality of everything at Manscaped is.
Your balls will thank you.
They really will. So will she.
Yes. Now, speaking of, wow, this segue seems too easy. Let's just go straight to Kotoni Stagg.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I decided to not do the actual segue I was thinking of, self-censored.
Okay.
And I just thought I'd just jump straight into the news item. I think it's been labelled as a revenge porn video service of Kotoni Stagg.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. He's just indulging in a bit of toe jam, really.
Yeah, and like I feel very sorry for him. Hopefully, whoever put this out, they feel I don't know what you call it, the wrath of the law, because it's just terrible. It's a terrible invasion of privacy. I understand that he knew it was being recorded, but I'm sure he didn't expect it to be all over social media. I feel very sorry for him, hey?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if players haven't learnt by now from the Tyrone May drama and a few other players as well, that just don't record yourself having sex with anyone. Like we went through this as well with Dylan Napper.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if you're just a high profile athlete, just don't take that risk. You can still root whoever you want, make sure it's all consensual. Just don't record it. It's just not. It's just eventually it's going to fucking get out because someone's going to want to make money out of it.
Yeah, and it's just a rotten situation for him, and it's I actually I normally don't talk about these sorts of things, and I obviously don't send them around and stuff. Someone tweeted me into a video of it, and I was like, I didn't answer it. The bloody thing's got 50 retweets and 79 likes. So I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
It's that's the thing about it too, is I hate the fact people share it around.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm interested in doing. I had someone send it to me. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to watch someone else rooting someone else.
No.
If I do, I'm not going to watch a football player do it on a shaky video. I'm going to make sure I'm looking at 15 different precise angles and a great audio setup. And you're going to watch a proper production here. We're not going to watch some shitty thing some footy players involved in.
Yeah, it's 2020. If it's not 4K, I'm just not even watching.
Exactly right. So there's plenty of news going on.
Yeah.
This next one, Ricky Latelli, former Shark and then Toronto Wolfpack player, has signed a deal to play with the Melbourne Storm for the rest of this year.
Yeah, and that's good that he finally got the green light for that, because they'd said no earlier, and then they fucking rolled out the red carpet for Sonny Bill Williams to do basically the same thing. And they had to backflip on it, the NRL, and say, well, yeah, you can go and play for the Storm now. It's a little bit ridiculous that they didn't allow it to happen the first time, but it allows him and his family to fly back from the UK, which is good for them because they were stuck over there. And I was reading about this the other day. He was in he was in a property that was being rented by the club, and he'd got eviction notices and stuff, and they were in a lot of trouble. So
yeah, he also had a company car as well, which they were paying for, and that's also been the car company has demanded that money to be returned because the money hasn't been paid for that either.
Yeah, so it's good that the Storm, just the fact that the Storm can give him a place is great, but just the fact that his family's able to now get out of there, get back to what he considers to be home, and that's a good news story. I'm glad that was able to be sorted out.
Yeah. I did make a tweet about it today, which I just said, because the thing that came up is that Toronto was supposed to pay for his airfare to get home as well, and that's obviously not happened either.
Yeah.
And I said, what happened to all that money that he earned at Cronulla? Well, he can't afford to fly back home. I know it's a principle thing. I know that it's not his duty to do that. The club's agreed to pay that for him. But in his situation with a young family, to me, it makes sense to go, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet on this one. I'm going to pay for the airfares to go back home to be in at least a happy place with my family so that they're all happy, instead of trying to find a fucking house over here during coronavirus and all that sort of crap. Go home, be safe, be happy, and just go, you know what, I'll send the bill to Toronto. If it gets paid, then that's a bonus. If not, then, worst case scenario is I've done, a few $1,000s on airfares to get here.
I think it's a whack now because there's a lot less flights though. And say and I don't know how much the flights are from say Manchester to Sydney right now. But say you've got, and I don't know how big his family is, but say you've got your wife and then 2 kids.
3 kids.
Okay, so he's got 3 kids. Let's just say they've doubled, so he's going to have to spend $4,000 on each of them. Right there, it's a big whack. And then he has to I think that now you have to pay for your quarantine. So I'd have to pay for the quarantine as well. And I can see where it could really quickly start getting up there in price. But as you say, you would think that he would have some money available to him from his previous contract. But then again, maybe he has been going through that really quickly because Toronto hasn't been paying him.
Well, apparently he's owed in the region of £45,000.
Yeah, that's a whack.
So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, they're owned by a very wealthy owner. Why is he unable to pay these wages and stuff?
My understanding was that, and I haven't looked too far into it. This is just some of the things I've seen people saying. It seems like that it's a little bit like the Nathan Tinkler situation in terms of he hasn't got fluid money. So he has a lot of money that's wrapped up in
investments.
Yeah. And so he can't draw on that money real quickly, and especially right now with this terrible pandemic, banks aren't exactly willing to throw money at you right now, and I think that's what's happened.
Right, I see.
But that's just what I've read. I haven't looked too much into it.
See, and this, people, is why the NRL version of the salary cap is absolutely fantastic, because no matter what happens to the club, the player still gets paid.
Yeah. Like, say for instance, tomorrow, if the Penrith Panthers, it turns out they're shockingly broke and they're like, we have to shut up shop this weekend and we have to disappear completely, the NRL covers every single player's salary. And that doesn't happen in the UK. And I was talking about it should have been happening 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, of course, no one did fucking anything about it. And they don't mind clubs going broke and players being out of pocket. It happens all the time over there, and it's disgusting.
Well, they had the opportunity to do it back in the late 80s, early 90s, around the same time that Australia went to a salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
Back when there was plenty of money in the English game. I mean, players went over there to actually get a bloody pay increase.
Yeah.
They had the opportunity again in 96 when Murdoch went over there with the Super League money. Perfect opportunity to reset the system and put in something that's going to be secure for everyone long term. And they just, I don't know what they did with the money. They, I don't know, pissed it down the fucking toilet, I think.
Pissed it away, yeah.
And so, even 5-6 years after that, they were still doing pretty well financially. They could have done something then, and they just did nothing. And they only brought a salary cap in a few years back, and it's not something that ensures players get paid. It's a thing they've got in place to try and level the playing field. That's it. And it's completely pointless.
And they talk about, like, I mean, our salary cap is not only talent equalisation, but it stops clubs from spending themselves to death. Over in the UK, it doesn't stop clubs spending themselves to death. And,
it's just a notional thing.
Yeah, and there's so many problems with the British game. It feels weird to just talk about just one thing. Like, we could probably literally do 20 podcasts and list 20 different things for those podcasts where, okay, today we're talking about junior development, and then the next day we're talking about marketing, and then the next day we're talking about, the lack of expansion in the competition. There is so many problems over there that it's just overwhelming. You have to almost start all over again. And there's too many little teams in little towns that, they make enough noise and it doesn't happen. So what can you do?
Exactly. I guess the situation is going to be that Latelli is probably still going to be contracted to the Wolfpack for next year, I assume. It'd be a similar deal to what Sonny Bill's got. If
they're around, like, I wonder how it's going to pan out. I think that it's an opportunity for someone. There's the biggest drawing standalone rugby team in North America in a big city where the city is behind it and they get media coverage. If somebody can't make something of that, then we just haven't got the right caliber of people that have control of the money in rugby league, because it is a gold mine waiting there. And and it's just a matter of getting the right people in there with the right backing and doing a good job of it. I tweeted today that it would be cool if a team like, say, Penrith, who have too many first graders for their first grade team, if they bought into a club like that and used it to farm out excess players, the NRL would have to approve that in terms of what the salary cap implications were. But can you imagine, like, if they could blood younger players and fringe first graders with the Toronto Wolfpack over in Super League and then be able to bring them back next season? Something like that would be great, but there's only certain teams could do that. I think Penrith's one of them.
Yeah, I dare say Brisbane would be another.
Yeah, they'd have the money to, 100%.
It's not a bad idea. Didn't the Broncos have something similar set up initially with London?
I think that they bought into London at a certain level, but I'm not sure if they really took advantage of it too much.
No, it was only a sort of a notional thing initially. And
Yeah.
it was only for a few years.
Yeah.
But because I remember when that was set up happened, a lot of fringe Broncos players and a lot of Broncos players at the ends of their careers end up playing for the London Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And the London Broncos were quite strong very quickly. But as soon as that structure ended, it fell away very fast.
Well, it just makes you wonder, like, say, and I use my team as an example, and because they've also got the juniors where they do have like 3 or 4 players they could get something out of by saying, go over, play in Toronto, and come back next year. We'll see how you go. Not only are you doing that for the players, not only are you doing it for the greater game, but you've also got the opportunity of going over there and playing an exhibition game and then being able to say to your sponsors, look, we play an exhibition game over in Toronto every year. And it just been something extra for the club. It'd be an interesting investment, but I think that they would need partners to go in with them, whether that's the NRL itself or whatever.
The good idea about that deal too is that it would take those younger players and let them play first grade footy without having the media spotlight on them 24/7 as well too.
Yeah, well, you think of someone like Burton who needs a start and he just needs constant footy. He could go over there and be the main playmaker for the Toronto Wolfpack next year. That would be amazing for him and his development. And playing at the Super League level, I think it'd be really good for him too. And then, like, I don't know if you'd let them play there for 1 year at a time, and then if the Panthers bring them back, then they're on their salary cap in the NRL. That would have to be worked out, but I can't see a downside to that. But I could see where other NRL clubs would hate that, and it would need the NRL's blessing, and they'd have to put in very strict rules in place, so it wasn't a workaround.
Essentially, if the other NRL clubs don't like it, then they can get better financially, and they can do it themselves. Yeah, someone can then go out and back the New York team.
Mm.
Someone can then go out and back, I don't know, Huddersfield. And then have every NRL team will be propping up the Super League.
Imagine that. I can tell you there'd be certain teams that would not get investment, and then there'd be other teams. I mean, I just think that Toronto is a massive, massive opportunity if somebody with the right credentials get behind it, and I really hope that happens.
Absolutely. We'll move on to the next bit of news. Blake Green has been released by the Warriors, and he's immediately joined the Knights, and he'll line up for the Knights this weekend.
Yeah, and I think it's a dog act. Am I wrong?
By Green?
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think the Warriors needed to get rid of him last year.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So I think this helps them out more than anything else because it allows them to actually have 2 genuinely talented young halves who have been, one's always been left out or they're on a rotating basis. At least this way you get both of them to have a proper crack at, having a combination together in the side. I don't know what Green offers the Knights.
Mm.
because I think Mitchell Pearce is better than him, and I don't know that Green's going to offer much to the Knights in the attack. I think Green would be better suited to a team like the Titans, only because they need someone experienced in their spine. Doesn't matter how good they are; they just need an older head in the spine somewhere. That's not something I see the Knights. I think the Knights, their spine is pretty well balanced, despite the injuries that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
I think they probably need to sign a hooker more than a 5'8" as well. So they might be thinking of playing Kurt Mann at hooker maybe. I don't know what's going on.
That's what I think they're going to do. And like, I don't think Green is a first grader. And I was saying that last year. I agree with you. They should have got rid of him last year. And there were people that were saying today that, like, what do you expect him to do? The club said that they weren't going to re-sign him after this season. It's like, yeah, he still had a contract in place for the rest of this season. And for all of the players that have left the Warriors and gone back home because they just wanted to go home, like, this is a dude that's an Australian who's said, oh, I'm going to go up the motorway and play for the team just up the road, and see you later, I'm out of here. And I just think that, for a team that is having to draft in players from other clubs, I don't know. I just think it's a dog act. And obviously they've signed off on it, so they're happy with it. But, what a terrible time to do it.
Yeah, I actually think this is more good for the Warriors than anyone else. So I'm not too upset by it. I think the Warriors will probably have 1 or 2 weeks where they're trialing a few different things in the halves.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's for the best. They're going to have Nick Arima and Harris DeVita, I think, in the halves.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would go with. See how that turns out.
I think it's going to work pretty well. That it'd be a bit more energy in the halves too.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, and it's funny, for every player that they keep losing out of their side, and then you get these other fringe first graders that are coming in, they keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Like last week they brought in Daniel Alvaro and George Jennings from Parramatta.
Mm-hmm.
And, Alvaro's been sitting on the bench most of the time, and Jennings has only played 1 game this year, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But immediate improvements, and they both played well there. And that's what I like about these players who have come along and played for the Warriors this year. And even though they're only on loans, like Jack Hetherington, they have played out of their fucking skin for this team.
Yeah, Hetherington's been good, hey?
That's a testament to these players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not going there thinking, oh, this is just an easy way to earn a few bob and stuff like that. They're going there going, no, I'm going to rip in and give it my every fucking thing I've got. And they're playing some great footy. And they're getting better and better, as you said, every week.
Yeah. And I think it's showing the professionalism of some players compared to other players, that these guys are coming in, new teammates, new situation, weird situation, and they're none of them are superstars, but they're performing honestly. And as you say, they are tearing in. They're not holding back. They're not playing it soft. They're not saying, look, this isn't really my club, so I'm going to just half-ass it. They're playing as good as they can play.
Yeah. No, it's been it's been very good. I like the fact that Warriors have been getting a lot of support from a few clubs there, learning players along, and I'm glad a lot of fans have got behind them, because they have really done a pretty tough thing. I think the thing to me that showed how much of a sacrifice they were making was a quote I saw today from Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. And he said that when he left home to come over to Australia to play when the comp restarted, his child was 6 months old.
Mm-hmm.
He said now that child's 9 months old, and he's missed those 3 months. And having, obviously, being a father and having gone through that process, that period from 6 months to 12 months of age, those kids learn so much and develop so fast. I mean, they go from dribbling and spewing all over themselves and shitting everywhere to being able to walk.
Yeah. Yeah, when I heard that, I was sad for him.
And you just go, that's the stuff they're missing out on. You don't get that back.
No. And apparently he's doing it really tough. And, he's playing really well. And he knows he's a leader on that team. And look, he's earning a lot of money. That's what the money's for. But when I heard that he had a kid that young And as you say, it's real developmental age for them. Man, it's tough. It's tough, but you know,
It
that's what
is,
money's
and
for.
it is what the money's for. But you can't hug the cash and make you feel better.
Yes, you can.
Nah,
You can. I'm telling you, Andrew. You
nah.
hug $1 million a year. You watch.
Yeah, nah. I'd rather hug my little girl than $1 million.
Well, look, as somebody that is extremely lonely, I got to disagree with you.
We'll move on before this gets too fucking sad.
Yeah. Just hug me, please.
Oh, what else happened? Oh, there's some news at the Dragons.
Oh, yeah, the Dragons have worked out something that's really straightforward.
Corey Norman's been dropped, and there's a rumor going around that the Dragons want to do a switch with
With Gareth Widdop,
that's right, Gareth Widdop. Who's he playing for again?
the Warrington Wolves.
Warrington. That's right. I
Yeah.
keep getting Warrington and Wakefield mixed up because they start with W.
Yeah, and they're both
Yeah.
shitholes.
So they want to do this switch between the two so that Widdop comes back to the Dragons and Corey Norman goes over to England.
Yeah, and like it just seems like a masterstroke, really.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying today, like, why would, and it was Michael from the Chasing Kangaroos podcast, why would Gareth Widdop want to come back and play for the Dragons? And I said to him, have you ever seen Warrington? That's why. Because I reckon he's gone over there and he's been like, fuck this place. Like, poor old Gareth Widdop's turned up over there and global pandemics hit. I'd want to come back to Australia too.
Yeah. Even Victoria's a safer place to be at the moment than the UK when it comes to coronavirus.
Yeah, I bet he was on the phone to the Storm at one point, and they were like, dude, you can't come back here. We haven't got the money. He's like, listen, down there's less pandemic. It's warmer.
Well, we
People
did have
government less.
we did have snow down here today.
Yeah, you were telling me. That's terrible.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Even the weather's got the Rona.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the big problem that the Dragons are going to have with this deal is that there's no chance in hell that the UK team's going to see that replacing Gareth Widdop with Corey Norman is a step in the right direction for their club, because it's not.
I can't imagine. The only way that I could think that it would make sense for Warrington is if Warrington thinks to themselves, listen, we've lost a whack of money this year. And Widdop is a highly paid player. We can lose less money by bringing in a cheaper player in Corey Norman. He might be, let's just say, 50% of what Gareth Widdop is, but his salary is a lot less as well.
No.
He'll do a job for us.
No,
I'm trying to sell
it,
man. Gareth Widdop's out there saying, shut the fuck up, Andrew. He's selling it.
Yeah. Sorry, Gareth. The Corey Norman's only on like a very minute amount less than what Widdop was on. It's almost the same, apparently.
Can we just say
the only way this works is if the Dragons say to Warrington, we will throw in a large amount of cash for this deal to go through.
Yeah, and they don't have cash, because if they did, they would get a coach.
Well, they get rid of the one they've got anyway and stop bloody re-signing him.
Yeah, they would go from having they would get rid of McGregor and then not have another coach who's actually banned for 2 more years before he could take over.
Yeah, they'd probably just put the janitor in charge.
Why not? Couldn't do any worse, could he?
Just have the janitor there, and when it comes to the post-match press, just say, look, my assistant coach will do the talking here. I don't really know what I'm doing. And just let Flano go in there and he can just mumble and stumble his way through. Oh, yeah, good defense. Thanks for coming. There he goes.
Yeah.
Job done.
It's interesting. Why don't they just have a patsy like that? Oh, that's right, because he's going to the Bulldogs to coach them.
Boom tish. What else has been going on?
Oh, there was the interesting situation where Todd Payton revealed on NRL 360 actually that he went in and did an interview for the Warriors job, and then they offered it to him, and he turned it down for family reasons. And so they knocked back Jeff Tuvey, and Todd Payton doesn't want the job, and it's all lining up
Hang on,
for Sean Wayne.
did he go in for a job interview, or they asked to speak to him?
Well, he said it was an interview.
Okay, so
And they offered it to him. They said, "Listen, we think you're the man, Todd. Do you want the job?" And he was like, "Fuck no." Which, like, why would he do the interview if he didn't want the job? The only thing I can think is that they did.
It's like getting dressed up to go to a job interview, and you go in there and says, "Okay, we're going to offer you this, and this. The job's yours if you want to go." No, I just wanted to come here because I like trains. I just enjoyed the train ride here.
Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like you've got a big date set up, and you get your Lawnmower 3.0 out, you manscape everything, and then the date's called off.
Well, no, you go out on the date, then you at the end of the day, she's like really keen to go. You just go, "No, I'm just going to go home and bat off on my own, thanks."
It got graphic quick.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can think is that he does the interview and he says, "Listen, I would like this job. I got to consult with my wife and family." And he goes home and he says, "Honey, I got the job. How good's that?" And she said, "Nah, fuck this shit. Tell him you're not taking it." Which, you know, we call that a Cooper Cronk. We call that Cooper Cronking.
Yeah. Cronked.
Cronked. You got cronked. But yeah, it's a weird situation for him. Hey, somewhere like, and Todd Payton, the ball's on him. Hey.
Well, he was an assistant coach at the Cowboys before he went to the Warriors, and there is talk that he wants the Cowboys job.
Yeah.
So I dare say he set up some pretty good networks there. He initially wanted the West Tigers job when he was the assistant coach there before he went to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So he likes coaching at a place he's been at for a while. I'm just surprised that he didn't have the same attraction to a head coaching role at the Warriors.
Yeah, but he's done the right thing, and we've said this before. Wait for the right job. Don't just take a crap job, because that Warriors one, I mean, I know they'll go back. They need a rebuild. Yeah, they need a complete rebuild. They need to, it's just not the job for anybody that really thinks that they can be there when the times are going to be good.
Yeah, and the Cowboys wouldn't be a bad one for him. Like they need a little bit of a rebuild too in certain places, but there's enough core players there for him to work with. So he's got a bit to work around to start off with. The Warriors don't really have that as much.
No.
So I think he'd probably be a good fit for the Cowboys. I mean, he's certainly shown that he can do the job because he's made the Warriors team look a lot better.
They do look better, and you know, I think that the Cowboys could do much worse than sign him. You know, I just wonder what the Warriors are thinking now, because they turned down Jeff Tuvey. There's a certain sort of coach they want. I don't know what that is, but
my guess, options now. There must be Griffin that they're going after now.
You know what? If they're going for the quality coaches that have experience, it would have to be him. But then you wonder if they're looking at, maybe they are trying to get a budget option. You know, offer a guy his first head coaching role, but we can't pay you too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I said it before. I'll say it again. I do think they need to get Tim Sheens over there.
I reckon they should sign Eddie Jones, and he can bring over Quade Cooper, and then they can sign Sonny Williams, and we can all fall into a coma over how fucking just boring the whole situation is.
See, I think what the Warriors need to do is they need to focus on trying to win games.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be
So,
good. Just for a change.
yeah, I mean, let's have a look at the impact that former rugby union coaches have had in rugby league, shall we?
Yeah, do it.
Shithouse.
Yeah. Who was the last one that was a rugby union coach that took over a top grade club in Australia, Andrew? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think his name was Jones as well.
Okay.
Fucking parrot.
And I hear that he sucked.
A lot.
Let's move on.
He wasn't a very good coach either.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. What else have we got?
Was that everything?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I think so.
There's some opinion going around at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much opinion. It's a question going around in the media.
Okay.
And it's obviously loaded.
Yeah.
Should the bunker rule on forward passes?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
And we've been here before. And all of the people that wanted them ruling on forward passes, they got their wish, and then they were dead against it because it is beyond a lottery and super inconclusive, no matter what the call is. And so they scrapped it, and now they want it back again.
Yes. Also, Kurt Baptiste has returned to the Raiders.
Oh, really?
And I dare say he's going to slot straight into the 9-jumper over there now that, he'll slide into the 9-jumper if Hodgson gets injured again. Is he still injured?
Yeah, he's out for the year. Hodgson's gone.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't know.
It was interesting to see the blow up a few days ago about the Parramatta Eels game last round, and at the end of the game, Sivo chucks the ball over the sideline, and the referee has a quick look at his touchy, and he's like, "Did he throw that forward over the sideline? Because that's a deliberate forward pass. That's a penalty." Well, the touchy's like, "Nah, it was flat." So game over. Parramatta Eels win. Well, the media picked up on it, and it's like the decision that might have cost the Bulldogs a chance to square it all up, and it's like, oh, you fucking low cunts. Like, just some of the crap that is in the media right now, the rugby league media, especially out of Fox Sports, it is such trash.
It is. So let's have a look what they've got going there at the moment. A story that went around, which the media made. Michael Maguire won't be going to the Cowboys. No one suggested that Michael Maguire would go to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
But some clown thought, Ivan Cleary left before he finished his contract. That must mean that every possible West Tigers coach from then on will do the same thing. So let's run that story. And it was obviously a load of shit. And got confirmed that it was a load of shit. What a waste of fucking time. There you go.
What was it based on?
The fact that Ivan Cleary left.
So it wasn't based on like a question
No.
That's ridiculous.
No. And James Hooper's coming out going, relax Tigers fans, Maguire won't be going to the Cowboys. We fucking know that. But we weren't stressed out. You're just getting excited about a fucking story you made up. Who cares?
I saw another bit of circle jerk content creation that the Fox Sports were doing where they were saying that Phil Rothfield and James Hooper were arguing over something on one of their TV shows. And that was the article. And it was like, that's not news.
Was it the cost of a pint?
I don't think they care what it costs. They'll pay it.
They'll be arguing over it, though.
Well, the only argument is, can I get more, please?
Yeah. Whose expense account do we put it on? Now, they've got some rumours over here.
Mm-hmm.
Ailing Ford has Sharks circling big name cover. And it looks like the talk here is that the Sharks are looking to move on Andrew Fafita.
Yeah.
And they're looking at James Tarmo as his replacement.
Wouldn't be a bad replacement. Tamo's been playing pretty well. I think the new rules really suit him. And Fafita's, I mean, the strapping that Fafita has on him when he runs out at the moment is ridiculous. He looks like he could go an off season and then some just to get them injuries under control. But, Fafita would be an awesome buy for some club if you can get that X factor out of him. But I think that he needs to let his body heal up and then probably drop a couple more kilos. I think that the injuries that he's got, I think it's probably hurting his training, and I think it means that he's carrying a little bit of extra beef on him.
Yeah, I still think Fafita's one of those players. He's just got that X factor. You just need to get a coach that can fire him up.
Mm.
He'd still be a wrecker today.
Yeah, I agree. And imagine having someone like him coming off the bench for, say, Parramatta or Penrith. It'd just be unfair.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how that goes. Dragons winger Jason Saab is not expected to stay at the Dragons, and have a guess at which club is rumoured to be the front runner for his signature.
The Tigers?
Yes, oh, they won't get him. They won't get him.
No, it'd be good to see him in Bulldogs colours next year. But there'll be whoever you sign on the wing next, like, I don't know, March 23rd, it'll be a good player.
Well, this is the thing, okay? There's going to be Saab on the market. There's also a fair chance that Alex Johnson will be on the market.
Yeah, look,
two pretty handy bloody wingers.
I heard he was going to the Storm, and if he goes to the Storm, that will be unfair. Because can you imagine? Oh, well, Addo Carr is leaving as well, but Johnson's a flat out try scorer and would be brilliant for the Storm.
Vunivalu's leaving as well. He's going to rugby union.
Yeah, he is.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, Melbourne might just pick up both of them.
Maybe.
Tristan Saylor is also looking to leave the Dragons.
I think that's a good move for him. I feel like he's a handy player. He's very skillful. I don't know what his position is, but I think he's very wasted at a dumb club like the Dragons. I think that a smart club will find a really good place for him. I wonder how. Could you imagine if, say, Andrew Fafita and then Tristan Saylor went to the Cowboys, and how big that would be for that club? So you got Fafita there with Tamalolo, and then say you put Tristan Saylor at 5'8" and see how that goes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Saylor, I think, he's a bit like Tyrone Peachey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's just a talented athlete you can put anywhere in a team, and you'll just gun it.
Yeah.
But trying to figure out what position and you're trying to figure out what position he actually is the harder part, because you can just do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, look, if you said to me he ends up being even just a fringe rep player at hooker, in the halves, at fullback, or on the wing, I wouldn't be shocked by any of it.
Yeah. I think ultimately I'd like to see him get groomed for a number 6 jumper somewhere.
Yeah, that's my feeling too.
And I think that's what should have happened with Tyrone Peachey. It's too late to do it with him now, but I think that would have been good if that had happened with him.
Tyrone Peachey's biggest problem was he could just be anywhere on the field and just come up with magic. And it was a real shame that he left the Panthers, because they were the perfect situation for him, and I think he was happy there. And he went up to the Titans, and he was a little bit of a star signing, and they kept trying to pigeonhole him into other positions, where I think if he'd stayed at the Panthers, he would have been a bench player still. But I think that he would have been such a feature in their team, it wouldn't have felt like he was a bench player.
Would you take him back if he come off the market now?
Not now, no. And that's only because the Panthers are in the position they're in. If they were, say, in 7th place, 8th place or something like that, I think you could see an X factor you'd get back with him. But at the same time, he's also a couple of years older, and it's a very young Panthers team. I think you kind of look to try and build that team so that they all grow up together.
Sounds good. I agree.
Thank you.
I do agree.
Well, you are an expert, Andrew.
This is true. This is true. Something else that happened, which we did mention before, was the Daily Telegraph put out their rich list.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't look at it because I didn't care.
Likewise. I was thinking what needs to be done is we need to have a poor list. And it's not going to be based on what they earn.
Just who's really poor player.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ash Taylor.
Adam Blair.
Adam Blair. Wow. Okay, you've knocked me for 6 there because I'm like, I don't know that there's more that you can go with than him.
There is. Let me just bring up the player list for this year. Let's see. Right, Broncos. Who do we go from here? Ben Teo.
Oh, Ben Teo. Darius Boyd.
Anthony Milford.
I think there is life in the MILF. I think that there's something that MILF can do that he's still got the magic in him.
Andrew McCulloch.
Yeah, I personally believe, yes. What about Cohen Hess?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Moses and Bai.
Oh yeah, 100%. Based on DWZ.
That's true. Speaking of Moses and Bai, did you see starting hooker this weekend for the Tigers?
Oh, that'll work well.
Yeah. So there's another 2 points that goes missing.
What position do you reckon is his best position?
Rugby union.
I wonder if he'd be a good rugby union sevens player. Obviously he would because he's playing against park footballers in rugby sevens.
I just don't know. He's played, I think, 5'8" and fullback, and he's sort of spent more time at 5'8" at the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Tigers are going to do with him. I think long term they're going to look at Billy Walters as being their 6, and fair enough. And he's not going to be able to play in the centres because you're going to have Momirovski and Lolua there.
Mm.
I don't know. If they bring in a fullback or a winger, then Adam Dewey's probably going to have to get moved into the centre somewhere, and someone else has got to move out. And Bai's not a centre. His defensive reads are at times atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
At the best of times, they're average.
Yeah.
The fact that they're going to put such a poor defender at hooker, it's alarm bells for me. I don't know what the hell that's about. It's sort of like they've got this player who they're paying a shit ton of money for, and they don't know where to put him, which is very West Tigers.
You know what's really weird about players like that, and there's a few of them around the league, is that there is no thought by the coaches where they're like, listen, I know we're paying him this much money, but I just cannot use him. We got to eat that salary. And I wonder if the coaches feel a pressure from above, because they keep picking these players.
You know what? This is probably going to make you scratch your head.
Okay.
If a deal came through and the Tigers got to swap Moses and Bai for Thomas Mackinson, I would say yes.
I would say yes as well. At least Mackinson's a winger. And, he's an English winger, so he's 50% of a winger because he's not going to be able to defend. And he's not going to be that skillful. And he's not going to be good under a high ball. But I would still take that.
Yeah, it's the situation they're in. I don't know why they've got him anymore. I don't know. I mean, it was an Ivan Cleary thing.
Yeah.
I think he's just gone, someone expensiv's on the market. Let's chase him. And it wasn't entirely Ivan Cleary because the West Tigers board approved it. They're just as much to blame.
But
I'm hoping that my
how do you go from? Here's the thing about Ivan Cleary, right? Because he was there while a lot of absolutely atrocious signings were made, and some of them were definitely his boys, right?
yeah.
How do you? How does he do that at the Tigers? But then at the Panthers, he's done a lot of good things. Is it just a case? Do you reckon it's a case of the management at one club says, okay, 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 and the other team says, no, we're not doing that?
I think that's what it comes down to. Is there's much stronger leadership at other clubs. The
Mm.
Tigers' leadership has always been feeble. And as evidence of that, there's been very few changes to the Tigers' leadership, and when it has changed, it hasn't changed to someone immensely more experienced or immensely better or with an immensely brilliant track record behind them from previous clubs with, being successful.
Yeah.
It's just been replacing someone who's so-so to someone else who's so-so.
Mm-hmm.
And just look at the history of signings by the West Tigers, and then look at how many times they've been in the final since they've been in existence. And you go, yeah, they've just been constantly mediocre for pretty much all but 3 years of their existence. And
Yeah.
that's 20 years of existence, by the way. And furthermore, I think Cleary's had a lot more local juniors to work with at Penrith. I mean, he hasn't really had to buy anyone. I think he got Coruscant back. Was there anyone else he's brought back or brought in?
I'm trying to think if there's anyone that he got Tedavano. He's been a really, really good signing. I can't think of anyone else that they've really signed, but I guess that is a good point in that, he's turned up with a pickaxe to a gold mine there at Penrith, and I think a lot of people would have done a pretty good job if they were coaching the Panthers this year. It is crazy when you look at the signings that the West Tigers have made over their history, and as you say, it's a whack of history now. And I was trying to think, in all of the NRL teams we have now, who has had worse signings over that period? And there's no one comes close to the Tigers. I think even the Gold Coast Titans, their signings have been brilliant compared to the Tigers.
Yeah, they've made really good signings. They've just had, the worst coaches.
Yeah, bad luck, not enough good signings, not enough of the, junior development that bolsters a club. So you've had good players that have sort of been left out like shag on a rock. And, the Warriors, they got Tuivasa-Sheck. It's crazy when you look at it like that over a 20-year period, and it's not even close.
And you look at who the expensive players that the Tigers have bought that weren't local juniors to start with. So you're automatically wiping out Farah and Marshall there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at the likes of Moses and Bai, Adam Blair, Russell Packer, Ben Madaleno, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
And they've all been paid at least $700,000 a year. Chris McQueen.
Like their best signing ever, it's probably, I dare
Gareth
say,
Ellis.
Jared. Oh, well, I was going to say Jared McCracken.
Ugh.
But and keep in mind, his career was ended pretty quickly.
It was. So he was playing some stunning footy at the time. And I think we only got a dozen games out of him.
Mm.
But I know he's British, but Gareth Ellis he was playing at his peak when he got over here, and he was able to go toe to toe with the NRL players. A lot of English forwards do. He was probably the peak that they got absolute value out of. Because they weren't paying him huge dollars either.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't on $800,000-$900,000 a year. He was probably on maybe half that. And we went from there to Adam Blair. And
it's terrible. It's terrible. And the other thing is, on top of all that, at one point they managed to push Robbie Farah out the club, and they managed to push Benji Marshall out the club. And
well, the Benji one was a bit different because I think what happened there is both Robbie and Benji had taken pay cuts for a number of years,
mm-hmm.
and I think Benji just said, I think it's about time that I started getting paid my actual worth.
Mm.
while I'm still in the peak of my career instead of being ripped off all the time, essentially. And the West Tigers said, we can't afford it. So he went, fine, I'll go to rugby union then.
Mm.
And they went, okay. And he's going, oh shit, that wasn't supposed to happen. And so he had to go and play for the Auckland Blues, and he only did that for 2 or 3 weeks and didn't like it, and then came back to the Dragons.
Yeah, but I mean, they managed to, the two guys, like the two shining lights really in that whole time, and they managed to make both of them say see you later at some point, and they both come back, but it's crazy.
I think so. I mean, that was the difference between the two. Is Farah stuck around and stuck to his guns to make sure he got some of his money back.
Mm.
I don't know if he got it all back or not. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the West Tigers are stupid for paying him, $900,000 a year," and going, that's not what the West Tigers were saying was his worth.
Mm.
That was his worth plus the money they owed him.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, how many years of those teams with, say, Farah and Benji in that team, like, they should have been, between them, they should have been earning 50% of their salary cap because the rest of the guys around them were bludgers.
Man, they carried him a lot.
They really did. And
because Robbie's decided to stick it out to try and, get the money he deserved to get, a lot of people hated him. I don't understand it. There's always this bullshit, and I think I've said it before, bullshit about Farah being a coach killer or whatever it was. There's no evidence that he got rid of any coaches. A lot of people were saying that he got rid of Jason Taylor. He wasn't even at the fucking club when Taylor got the arse. He was playing for South at the time.
Yeah.
Tim Sheens was not ousted by any players. Tim Sheens said at the end of 2011, start of 2012, when the Tigers at the time, I don't know if you remember, were regarded as being the premiership favourites. And he said, apparently he said in a meeting that, a handshake deal was made. If I don't get the Tigers to the finals this year, I'll step down. And sure enough, the Tigers finished 9th or 10th. And he refused to step down. So the club forced him to honour his word by sacking him.
Do you reckon that this is a symptom of, and it's something I would have argued against, say, 8 years ago, but do you think this is a symptom of what happens when you've got a merged club, that you just don't have instead of having the one direction at board level, because you've got a combined board in some sense, that you just don't have everyone going in the one direction. You sort of, once you get to that board level, you're trying to play a balancing act between the two sides, and it just eventually flows down into your footy team.
No, I think it was just really just atrocious management. Like, genuine top clubs have had successful people around them for a long time, and they know what they're doing, and they keep getting good results.
Mm.
No one knows anyone who manages the Tigers.
Yeah, like the only person I can think of that was on board level for the Tigers said a lot of the right things, set up a lot of, morning teas and then left.
Yeah, you had Grant Meyer for a period there when Jason Taylor and... Was it Jason? No, before Jason Taylor. Mick Potter was coach. And he was abysmal. We had all that drama when Gordon Talos came out and said some shit from 2 years prior that was completely irrelevant to that time.
Oh, jeez.
And the club started to fall apart.
That was weird. That it really did. Like, the club, like, there's no better way to put it. It started to fall apart.
Yeah.
And
Mike just sat on his hands the whole time going, I won't do anything. I won't get involved. Going, mate, all you got to do is come out and say, everything's fine with these two now. That's all water, water under the bridge. They've all moved on. And just move forward and strengthen everything. And he didn't. And he just let
Robbie Farah go out and sort of face the music.
Robbie Farah was answering questions that Maya should have been answering.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I remember at the time thinking, like, why is he being put out there as the dude that has to cop all this? Like, this is the role of the CEO.
Yeah. That's how bad they were.
Mm.
And it just never got better. I mean, Justin Potato, fuck. And that's what I was getting at before, is that they just replaced one mediocre person with another one who's around the same.
Mm.
there's no one out there going, let's go and get the best operator we can and put them in there for a brief while. Get them to sort things out and move it in the right direction, and then get someone to just, work from there.
Mm-hmm.
Never comes to their mind. And so it's just the same cycle repeating over and over and over again. There's no plan with the recruitment. Let's just go out and just buy whoever's available.
Yeah.
Let's pay someone a lot of money and make it like they're a marquee signing. And then you go, oh, we're stuck with them for 3.5 years and they're not really doing that well. And whoops.
And that's the thing, like, I think Mark Maguire's doing the right thing in that at the very least he's trying a lot of different things. And look, they're not going to win the premiership this year, so why not try it this year, especially in a weird year, But at the same time, you can't, as a club, if they're big signings, if their big signings are just always dudes that are being pushed out of other clubs, it's,
Yeah, look, there are only a few coaches and teams who can take a hodgepodge mix of players and make it work, and the West Tigers have never been that team. They've got to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Somehow we managed to start bitching about the West Tigers again.
I know.
It just happens sometimes.
We just fall into it, don't we? It's like gravity at some point. You're just sucked into the black hole, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm spaghettifying.
Exactly. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
It's an easy fallback thing. We could probably do 300 episodes talking about the West Tigers.
I feel as though, like, if somebody said, here's your challenge, just do an episode of the West Tigers, we could do another 2 hours of the West Tigers tomorrow without any problem.
Yeah, you do a season by season look at how crap they are.
Yeah. It's like, it sucks because I know what it's like to follow a club where you just feel like there's no out in this situation, and you see the wrong people getting re-signed and their jobs never come under threat and stuff. But I've been through that for like maybe 6 years at most. To think of going through 20 years where, as you say, they've had 3 really good seasons. I can't even imagine that.
Well, let's be honest, for anyone who followed Balmain or West before them, it's been 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, if you followed West in the 90s, these are the good days.
Yeah, 91, I think they made the finals.
Yeah.
West Tigers, Balmain made the finals in 1990.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it since then. 91 was when Alan Jones came along and destroyed the place.
When was the last time that the Magpies made the finals?
Yeah, I think it was 91.
Yeah, because I honestly can't remember them playing finals footy. Which is kind of weird.
Let's have a look just to double check. I could be wrong.
I doubt it. You're a historian and a statistician.
1992.
There you go.
Pretty year after. Oh, hang on. 96, they made the qualifying final.
No way.
Was that when they had 35 teams?
Who was their team? Have you got their team list there?
20 teams, they finished 8th. Oh, only because... Oh, no. They did it legit. I thought some team had points taken off them, but no, they did it legit. Yeah, I've got the team here.
Okay, let me guess. There's a couple of players I'm thinking of there, right?
Okay.
The McGuinnesses.
Yes, they were both there. Ken and Evan.
Andrew Leeds.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. Paul Langmack.
Yes, he was there. There was 2 other former internationals there as well. One from Great Britain and one from New Zealand.
Stephen Kearney?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, man. I don't know who the Kiwi is. I feel like they had a good hooker.
The Kiwi was Brent Stewart.
Okay, I wouldn't have got that.
The hooker was Cherry Mesher.
Yeah, I was going to say Cherry Mesher. Damn it.
He was out from the Riverina region, my old stomping ground. The Pommy was Harvey Howard.
Oh, that's right. Harvey Howard. He was a good player.
Yeah.
He was a very good player.
And that's Steve Georgalis.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yeah, well, you know what? 96, that's when he would have taught me at high school because he was playing for West at the time.
there you go. John Scandalis was 20 years old then.
Oh, wow.
Who else is there? Andrew Hick,
Yeah.
former Penrith player as well. Brandon Costin,
Oh,
or
wow.
some people might know him as Brandon Pearson.
Yeah, he was a very handy player. Ended up going to the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah. Craig Coleman, former South hook halfback.
I don't remember him playing for West, say.
Yeah.
He was a handy player. I think people don't realise how good he could be on his day.
I think he was what they would call in the older days nuggety.
Nuggety.
He was just solid.
Yeah.
Did a lot of defence. He was player had a fair few games there. Darren Capavilla, Darren Burns, Paul Bell.
Did they did Darren Fritz play for them?
Not this year, no.
Okay, it must have been later on.
So it was a fairly solid side there. Damien Kennedy.
I don't remember him.
Paul Smith. Andrew Willis.
Wow, he was there at that point. I thought he might have been a bit young then.
He was 23 then, and Darren Willis as well.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't have too bad a side.
Yeah, there was some quality players there. Cherry Mesher was a handy player on his day as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Quite liked him.
Yeah, he was he ended up playing for the West Tigers, didn't he?
Yeah, the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just one of those players that like was solid, but then he'd have games where he'd just be able to turn it on a little bit.
Yeah, he got he was so good. He pushed Jim Sedaris into the second row.
Mm.
You know, very good player. And by the time he got to the West Tigers, in his second year there, I think Lincoln Withers sort of started to push him out of the side, or Darren Center it might have been.
I think it was. I feel like Darren Center, sort of made that position his own. I think there'd be a lot of people that would forget how important Darren Center was to the not only Balmain near the end, but the West Tigers in their early days. He was like, he was just one of those real clubmen. Hey,
he was. He's one of those rare sort of players where he could play either lock or hooker.
Mm.
And that was back when lock was a ball playing sort of role, not a third prop sort of thing like you got today.
Mm.
So, yeah, I quite like him. He was named Hollywood because of his bright white teeth. He had a Hollywood smile on him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was a cheeky hooker too.
Yeah, I quite liked him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that ever saw him play could not like him, hey?
Yeah, quite a personality on him.
Yeah, he was just one of those dudes that you're like even if you hated the West Tigers or Balmain, you'd be like, I like seeing him do well. He started to get to a point where he was like one of those fringe names for New South Wales too.
Yeah, he was. You would hear his name being thrown up there quite a few times. It was mostly because of his versatility too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good little stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, man, we're both of us, just for listeners, are desperate to do history episodes, and I think what we've got to do, and this, like, you know, when we started the podcast and we're like, we've just got to shut up and do it. I think we've got to just shut up and do a history episode, eh?
We do, yeah. We've got a few that we've been looking at doing for a while there.
Yeah.
So we should just shut up and do them sometime.
What one would you like to do next?
Yeah, we can put that for the fans to decide. So I reckon the next one I want to do next is the first women's game and how it came about to being played in Australia.
Yeah, see, I think I was going to say another one, but then you say that and I'm like, yeah, I actually want to do that episode. So let's do that episode then.
Alrighty.
Okay.
What was the one you wanted to do?
I really want to do our best teams of all time. I think that will be like a 2 hour marathon because we'll get stuck into talking about so many great players. But I'm really, really keen to do the women's one, and so yeah, I'd rather do that and then save the our two best teams of all time, for when we've got like when we jump on early on a weekend or something. You know what I mean?
Just so everyone knows, Freaky put this idea to me of doing our best teams of all time. I don't think he realizes the sort of quandary he put me in.
I knew exactly what I was doing. And the funny thing is that because I named the best team of all time, maybe I think it was about 12 years ago. And my team has changed since then. No one has come out of it because I think they don't deserve it. It's more players that I think, from what I've seen since then, have earned their way into it. But I knew when I said to you, hey, listen, I've got this team idea. Let's do our best teams of all time. Maybe chuck yours together. And I knew what it was going to mean. That's why I take the piss out of you when we talk about it a bit.
I know.
You're just going to be judged for forever on who you name. That's all.
That's right. And every time this discussion comes up, I keep saying, is there any chance we can just change it to like 17 different categories so I can fit all the players in that I want to have in there? Have like the best of each nation and then have maybe the best hub workers and the best unknowns and the best this and the best that. And I go, that way I can get everyone in there and everyone will be happy.
Yeah. Because it's
got to be the best 17 and that's it.
And that's it. And the thing is too, it's like for a rugby league historian and a writer, basically I've said, can you put your credibility and resume out there and do a podcast about it?
And look, the one problem I've got with a lot of these things is I always want to be different. So I always want to put in there like one or two that most people wouldn't think of.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're justified and you can't really argue against them. At the same time, you go, but what about those ones you didn't mention? And go, yeah, sometimes you got to look a bit beyond the obvious and realise that there are some players out there who deserve to be in these lists, and they just aren't because they didn't get the media and stuff like that. So I've got a pretty interesting team lined up already.
Yeah, because I was going to say what we could also do, I guess, is this is like a starting block episode. You know, where the starting block they say they do their show is actually their pre-show, and they talk about what they do on a show if they were going to do one.
Yes.
So I guess the other idea we could do is if I name my best team of all time, right, but then you name a team that is like best, I don't know, forgotten players or other play. I don't know.
Actually, what we could do, which should be a bit more entertaining,
yeah,
and puts me in less of a quandary,
yeah,
is that you name your best team of all time, and then I name the best team of all time that doesn't contain the players you named.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That means I would have to show you because we weren't going to show each other our lists. I'll have to show you my list, and then you will put together a team from that. But then you don't show me who you've put together for that second team.
All right,
that would be cool because, like, I think I've got one place left on my team that I'm still tossing it up between a couple of players. But yeah, let's do that then.
All right, and my challenge will be to try and field a team that's capable of beating your team.
Ooh, I like this now.
There we go.
Yeah, we got something.
We got there in the end.
Yeah.
Thanks for indulging us, people, as we thrash that one out on air.
This is how we talk. This is how we talk for like 3.5 hours before we start recording a podcast.
Yeah. We've just opened the curtain and just done a standard chat and not an actual podcast.
Yeah.
I'm
excited for all that now. That'll be fun.
Absolutely. But yeah, if there's anything else that people want to hear us do a history episode on, let us know. I tend to be interested in the lesser known stories, the stories that no one's really heard much about or heard anything of. But if there's something about the game that's probably a little bit more commonly known that you want to hear about, we'll do an episode on it. It could be Daily Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry me. I love doing a bit of research and history stuff, obviously, and we can pump out one of those. So anything you want to learn about, let us know.
Yeah, and I've actually put together a list of the best Penrith Panthers team of all time that I've got ready to go. So I don't know whether we'll do that episode together or if I'll do that as one of the solo episodes during the week. We'll just see. Like, we wing a lot of stuff, don't we?
All?
all,
All of it?
all, yeah, pretty much.
Just trying to figure out if there's anything we haven't winged and go,
It's
pretty much all.
The only things we don't wing are when we're not recording. But then when we record, we're winging it.
Yeah, well, that's because we burn all the good gear prior to hitting the record button.
We really do. I reckon we've had a dozen like top quality conversations that we didn't record, like that were like gold.
Yes. Oh, there was one comment which was I was surprised by the response that you gave me in the pre-episode recorded or pre-episode episode that we did before this one.
What was that about?
And you're talking something about Newcastle over in the UK.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about the Newcastle Thunder. So the Toronto Wolfpack is out of Super League this year. And obviously because of that, the agreement between the Toronto Wolfpack and Super League has been terminated. So there are a lot of other clubs over in the UK that are applying to take Toronto's place. And one of them is the Newcastle Thunder Rugby League Club. Now, they used to be called the Gateshead Thunder. And it's funny because I remember I used to argue years and years ago, why the hell are they called Gateshead when it's really kind of just like an area of Newcastle? And Andrew brought that up when we were talking before the podcast. And he's like, why didn't they always call themselves Gateshead? And I'm like, I know, right? I've been saying that for years.
Newcastle, yeah. I was saying it's kind of like being based in Manchester and calling yourself Salford.
Yeah. like being, Swinton. Let's not call ourselves Manchester.
No, God, no.
Let's be 300 strong in Swinton.
What about our history that no one other than 300 people care about?
Yeah.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
It's so dumb.
Rugby league. Gotta love it.
Yeah. At the same time, though, would you want to be called the Sydney Tigers?
That's a good point, and no.
I'm trying to think. Look, I'd say this. If the Panthers come out and said they want to be called the Sydney Panthers and they're playing at Penrith, I wouldn't be one of the people that would be too put out of place by it. I think it'd be sad, but...
The only problem I had with Sydney Tigers, and the reason why I was opposed to it, was because there was 3 fucking Sydney teams in the comp at the time.
Yeah, they all did it.
Sydney Roosters, Sydney Bulldogs, and Sydney Tigers. Like, what the fuck? It's like, pick one.
Yeah. They all did it at the same time. And then, funnily enough, the least greatest Sydney team ended up with the name in the Roosters.
Yes.
Like the tiniest little slither of area that they have, and they end up being called Sydney. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it should be called Inner Northeastern Coastal Sydney.
Like it should be called the concrete walkway just off Bondi Beach Roosters.
They're just called Bondi Junction Roosters.
Yeah. Do you know
what?
what?
Just named after the train station there.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I think I said before they should be called the Bondi Roosters. It was a great suggestion that what's his name made? Used to own 2GB. John Singleton.
Yeah.
Great idea.
It was a great idea.
Yeah.
Good old singer.
I heard the news the other day in Sydney. I can't remember what station it was. They called Eastwood Western Sydney. Can you imagine what my reaction was to that?
Wow. Western Sydney, Eastwood.
I tell you what, I jumped up out of my recliner. I tore open my flannel t-shirt and threw my bloody thong at the TV. I was pissed. I was just lucky I was so fucking, drunk off my ass at 10 o'clock in the morning when the news was on. I didn't really care.
Does that mean that Penrith would be considered as far western?
Well, exactly.
I don't get that.
Here's some weird shit. I've heard Concord called Western Sydney.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Which is like, are you serious? I got to drive fucking an hour to get to Concord.
And you're still in the west.
Yeah. I missed a flight because of pulled pork once because of the traffic.
Did the pork consent?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
It was so good. Like, I'm not going to say it was worth it because it cost me hundreds of dollars to reschedule the flight, but damn, it was good pulled pork.
Well, that's good.
Pulled pork.
What matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hit us up and tell us about what history episode you'd like us to discuss, on the history of rugby league, hit us up on Twitter at FergoFreakPod. You can hit either of us up on Twitter. I'm at AndrewLP. He's at League Freak. You can also get in touch with us on our website.
Yeah, FergoandtheFreak.com.
You can send us an email as well.
Yeah, we'll read the emails out eventually.
That's right.
We get to them.
And you can find us on Instagram at FergoFreakPod. We're on Twitter at FergoFreakPod, as I just said. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn. And don't forget Manscaped.
Yeah, go to manscaped.com, put in the code NRL. You get 20% off everything. And just shave your balls. Make it all look good down there.
Bloody oath. Get some smooth cags going on.
No one has ever said that they regret having smooth cags.
No. The only downside is when the hair starts to grow back if you don't keep the maintenance up. But you won't need to worry about that when you've got the Lawnmower 3.0.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, you get the all of the other stuff that they have with it, like what's it called? Let me bring it up.
Well, you also get blades replacement blades every, was it 3 months or something like that?
Yeah, but you also get like the skincare packages and stuff. So you get the crop cleanser, the crop reviver, you get all that stuff in the Perfect Package 3.0. So that's why I reckon if you want to get the Lawnmower 3.0, just get the Perfect Package 3.0 because you get the lot in it. So you've got the total care package for your genitals.
We need to have a word with them and get some powder and call it, nuts dust.
Nuts dust. That would be a really good name. Yeah. Nuts dust.
Good. Maybe that can be something that's exclusive to us.
Yeah, nuts dust exclusive to Fergo and Freak. That'd be brilliant.
There we go. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll wrap this one up. We'll catch you all next time.